Is George Pickens becoming too much of a problem for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and should they consider trading him this offseason? Also, is Mason Rudolph actually going to get the start this Saturday, or will Kenny Pickett make a return? And is that even wise for this Pittsburgh Steelers team? Welcome back to Mike Drop Sports, everybody. I'm Jason. Let's talk about that. We'll start with the George Pickens incident first. That was where he totally whiffed and totally gave up on a play and his blocking assignment in Indianapolis against the Colts in a game that the Steelers needed to get. And I'm not saying George Pickens was the reason this team lost, because I don't think that's the truth. But we're talking about George Pickens and his inability to be an adult. His inability to fight for the team and not just care about yourself. And when the Steeler greats talk about the Steeler way being lost, you look at George Pickens, and he can become a prime example for that saying of the Steeler way is gone. George Pickens is like the poster boy for that right now. When you totally give up on your blocking assignment, totally disregard, and don't even try. We've seen it with Deontay Johnson in Cincinnati when they beat the Bengals, and we saw it now with George Pickens, where you totally don't even try. And his excuse was he didn't want to have the same thing happen to him as happened to Tank Dell. Tank Dell broke his fibula blocking downfield on a run play. So George Pickens says he didn't want to take that chance. That's a lame excuse, man. This is football. You could get hurt at any second. It don't matter what you're doing on that football field. It is it should be a violent game, a game to where there's contact and things happen. It is what it is, and you can't avoid that. And when you play in the sense of not trying to be injured, I think that's when you promote injury, and George Pickens should probably realize that now by the time that you're in the NFL, that you should just play fast and just go with it, and you're going to have to deal with whatever the consequences are because you're playing a sport that those things can happen. And also, is George Pickens just becoming totally over the top? I mean, the things that he says. You hear him talking about in the media yesterday, how the media is the problem. Blaming the media. How do you blame the media for you not getting a block? For you purposefully standing there, giving zero effort? We've talked about that here on the channel so many times with other players. Zero effort, and it just can't happen. And if you're the Steelers, you got to weed those types of players out. But he was talking about how media personalities never played football, never at that level. They've never been in the NFL, so how would they know what's going on? Buddy, let's be real. It ain't hard to realize. I don't care if you never played a down of football. You can't not do your blocking assignment. It can't happen. You can't just totally not do anything on a play in the NFL, especially at any level of sport. You're going to get people hurt, first of all. Second of all, you look like an idiot. And has George Pickens become that idiot? Is he that big of a problem? I think he has become that. And if you're the Steelers, you should really look what you could get for him, because rumor has it that the reason the Steelers got him where they did was because teams passed on him because of his attitude, because of his piss poor attitude. And is that starting to shine through? Are we starting to see that? I think we have. And I think we're seeing the reason why people didn't pick him up. And I know the Steelers like to take a chance on people sometimes. But I think you need to get back to the the days where you as the Steelers organization really judged character and really valued character more than anything when you were going through these processes of selecting draft picks. To where character meant something. Yes, athletic ability and your abilities on the football field mean a lot, mean a ton, and that's a big portion of it. But there should be a chunk set aside for character. And if you don't have that character, that Steeler-type character that you're looking for, you don't draft that player no matter what. And I think the Steelers need to get back to that, because I felt like that they used to do that. At least it seemed like they used to do that. That they used to look for guys of high character, high ambition, guys that really wanted to play football, that really loved the game, that really cared about being part of a team. And now you see these individuals on this team like George Pickens, who are cancers to the locker room, guys. Let's face the facts. They are cancers to the locker room. You can't have a guy out there not doing anything. It's ridiculous. It makes you as a franchise look stupid. Not to mention, does it make George Pickens look stupid? And it's going to hurt you in the open market. So if you are out there looking to get that big bag like they all want to talk about getting, all these players want to talk about getting that second contract, that big money, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not going to get to that money. People aren't going to pay you that big top dollar free agent money, that big money that you're looking for. They're not going to do it. When you're given no effort, how can they justify that? How can they bring you into their locker room and let you contaminate it with your piss poor attitude? And I think if you're the Steelers, you need to really reevaluate this guy. And if he's not going to change and he's not going to show you that he's making a real effort to change and show it here in the last 3 games of this season, and then when you get to Latrobe next year, that he's not, he needs to be out there showing that he's a leader and really trying to guide this team and giving 100% all the time and showing that he really wants to be here. If not, you need to get rid of him. And you need to get rid of him in a hurry. And that situation might already be now. You might need to get rid of him now before it's too late. But if you're the Steelers, what do you do, guys? Put in the comments. Let me know what you think about George Pickens. Should the Steelers get rid of him? Has he already become too much of a problem? When you got guys like Antonio Brown calling you out for your behavior, you know you've hit an all-time low. A guy that couldn't behave, couldn't stay on a team after he left the Steelers, just totally went off the rails. If he's calling you out and saying your behavior and your team attitude sucks, you got real issues, man. You got real problems. And the Pittsburgh Steelers should really start to listen to some of this stuff that's going on. And I know that they haven't turned a blind eye to it because Mike Tomlin's commented about it. And I think Mike Tomlin's really starting to get frustrated with George Pickens. You can start to sense it boiling over already. And if Mike Tomlin remains the coach of this team, I don't look for George Pickens to last much longer at his current pace, at what he's doing right now. And I think you guys will see George Pickens get kicked to the curb real quick and in a hurry this offseason, especially if these last 3 weeks of this season really start to show more and more of his character, and more of what he's all about. I think we'll see Mike Tomlin get rid of him and package him up in a trade. They have assets like that they could get rid of this offseason to increase their draft stock, to increase that available amount of draft picks, and that could be what they need. They need to rebuild in several locations and positions, and the offensive line, the defensive backfield. You got quarterback that you need to bring in some competition at least at. You got a punter you need to replace. There's so many issues. You need wide receivers. George Pickens and Deontay Johnson aren't enough. You need more guys in that room with some abilities. You got to have that room become better. And I think you need to get a better coach in there. Somebody that's going to control that room a little bit better. Somebody that can handle those types of personalities. And we said it before, we think it's bullshit here when people say it's the diva way of the receiver, blah, blah, blah. That's stupid. No. Get yourself under control. Act like an adult. Be a professional. Point blank, period. And if you don't like it, hit the road. And that would be my philosophy if I were the Pittsburgh Steelers coach. If I were the position coach for that wide receiver room, I would say, look, man, I'd rather lose every game than have a guy like you in here contaminating this environment, making this environment tough to work in. I would just get rid of you. And that's what the Steelers need to go back to in order to rebuild this Steelers culture. Point blank, period. That's just what it is, guys. Let's move on to the next topic, and we're talking about Mason Rudolph, and will he get the start? I saw Kenny Pickett. I saw a video of him playing around, moving around nicely. I've heard some grumblings that he may be the number 2 this week, if not start. So will Mason Rudolph get that start? And should he get that start? Does he deserve that start? In my opinion, I think that Mason Rudolph, if Kenny Pickett isn't available, or isn't quite ready, I think Mason Rudolph has to be the guy. He needs to get that chance. And I think maybe you need to consider just giving him that chance for another week anyway and seeing if you win or lose. Because I don't think you need to jeopardize the future of Kenny Pickett if he's your guy. You need to keep him healthy and protect him. Is he going to be able to go out there and get out of the pocket, be able to protect himself in a way that he doesn't get injured again, that could be very, very detrimental to his development moving forward? Is it worth these last 3 games to wheel him out there? Or should the Steelers just ride with Mason Rudolph for the rest of the way? What if Mason Rudolph comes out and lights it up, guys? Should the Steelers just ride with that hot hand, make Kenny the number 2, and just let Mason cook? What is that what they should do? I mean, honestly, what real option do you have when no quarterback on the roster thus far has played well? How do you go back to a guy that hasn't performed well? And Kenny Pickett hasn't performed well all the time. He's had his moments, and we really haven't got to see him without Matt Canada due to the injury. But the full game that we did get to see him, the offense did put up over 400 yards. So is there hope there? Should we be wanting for Kenny Pickett to come back? Or should we want to see Mason Rudolph try to succeed? In my opinion, I think Mason needs the chance. I think he deserves the chance. He's been here. He's come back to the team. He doesn't bitch in the media. He doesn't put out bad vibes. He's always in there. It seems like he's trying to help out, trying to be a good team player. So why not? If the opportunity's there, give him the chance. I think Mitchell Trubisky realizes he's done in Pittsburgh. And I think the Steelers will get rid of him this offseason. I think it's just a time to part ways. I don't think Mitchell Trubisky can succeed here in Pittsburgh. It doesn't seem as such. Maybe a different environment, maybe a different offensive system. Maybe that will help Mitchell Trubisky out. Maybe what's in Pittsburgh right now doesn't suit him well. So who knows? There could be so many variables to that. But Mitchell Trubisky was a high draft pick, and he's a failure. And that's where I talk about when everybody wishes the Steelers would win out to get high draft picks. They can fail, guys. You see it in Mitchell Trubisky. You have one on your team right now in Mitchell Trubisky. Failure. Kenny Pickett could be that failure, number 17 overall or 20, whatever he was, 20th pick, I believe. Yeah, you see that in him. He could be a failure. We don't know yet. But it's a roll of the dice. But Mason Rudolph came out of college, didn't have that big fanfare. People weren't looking to grab him up right away, and the Steelers were able to get him later on in the draft, and he did get an opportunity in 2019, and I thought that he played well until Earl Thomas put him to sleep. I thought that he played decent, but after that, he was a different quarterback. He had those happy feet. I felt like he didn't know when to pull it down, and he didn't know when to force it into certain situations. He's just out of sorts. That hit, I think, really caused some damage, in my opinion. Really set Mason Rudolph back. I thought he was on a better trajectory before that. He was doing okay, starting to get in rhythm, playing well at times. He still had his moments, but he was young, rookie year. Hey, it is what it is. But Mason Rudolph, will he get the start? I want you guys to also put that in the comments, what you think about Mason Rudolph, and will he get this start this Saturday, or are the Steelers just playing possum and Kenny Pickett's going to start? Because the way he looked yesterday, running around there, if he gets any better here today and Thursday, I think there's a real chance that Mason Rudolph will be the number 2 and the Steelers go with Kenny Pickett also. I think that could be a real thing, and I think the Steelers have been waiting for that because the Steelers did have a winning record when Kenny Pickett was in there. And now all of a sudden when he's been out for an extended period of time, they find themselves 7-7, looking down the barrel of another shitty slide, another bad ending to a season. But hey, the Steelers, I don't think really know what they're doing at quarterback position right now. And I think they're just grabbing for straws and hoping one of these guys work out. And we'll see. I think in the offseason, in the draft, the Steelers got to go get some competition at least for Kenny Pickett. You can't just let him be comfortable and think he's the starter and there's nobody that's going to challenge him. You have to get guys in there that are going to push Kenny Pickett to either get better or move him out of that spot. That has to be done. And is Mason Rudolph that guy? I don't think so. I don't think that Mason is a quality enough quarterback for that. But we'll see. We'll see this Saturday if Mason gets the chance. We'll see if he's developed any. We'll see if this time on the bench has been good for him and has allowed him to learn, allowed him to get better. But the game speed is fast, guys. And I know people say that you take reps in practice, blah, blah, blah. Those guys aren't going full tilt. The game speed to practice speed is far different. There's no doubt about that. Just turn it on, watch them practice, watch tape of them practicing. When they're on the field, it's a lot different. And other teams are coming with a lot more speed, a lot more exotic looks than you see in practice. It's way different, man. And maybe Mason will be better. We'll see. I don't know. And I keep hoping for it. And I keep crossing my fingers that he is good if he gets the chance. But I don't know. We'll see if this even happens. We'll see if it even has the chance to happen. Because Kenny Pickett doesn't look bad right now. And he looks like he's well on his way to returning to the Pittsburgh Steelers lineup sooner rather than later. All right, guys, let's wrap it up here. I want you, again, to put in the comments what you think about Mason Rudolph. Do you think he'll get this start Saturday? What do you think about Kenny Pickett coming back? You've seen the videos online now of him running around and getting better and making some moves to come back. And do you think he'll get the nod this Saturday? Do you think he'll be good enough? Or do you think the Steelers will just go one more game without Kenny Pickett? What do you guys think will happen? Also, is it time for George Pickens to leave? Make sure you put that in the comments. Are you annoyed as a fan with his behavior? Are you ready to see him move on already in his short time with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Short time. Has he already worn out his welcome here with the fan base and with the coaching staff? So let me know what you guys think about all that stuff. Don't forget our live show tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be joined by Sean here on the channel, and we are going to talk a lot of Steelers news. We're going to break down everything that's been going on with this team ahead of the Cincinnati game. We'll give our predictions, our early predictions here on a Wednesday since the game's on Saturday, and we'll talk more and field your questions, comments, concerns about this team in the live chat. So feel free to do that and join us tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time here on Mic Drop Sports. In the meantime, I'm Jason, and until next time, peace.